Welcome to this week's Saturday History and Travel Tip. Today we are going to take Route 66 through California to its very end. In Part 1, we talked about the routes of Route 66 in Oklahoma. Then in Part 2, we talked about the stretch from its beginning in Chicago into and through the Texas Panhandle. In Part 3, we crossed New Mexico and to Diablo Canyon in Arizona. Our last part was Part 4, where we picked up in Two Guns and into the cute town of Oatman. And today we will cross California to the end of Route 66. National Register of Historic Places, Historic U.S. Route 66 starts in Chicago, crosses 8 states and 3 time zones, and comprises 2,448 miles, ending at the Santa Monica Pier. Nostalgic travelers cherish landmarks from neon-lit signs to mom-and-pop motor courts. Opened on November 11, 1926, with graded dirt and gravel sections, the route was not paved totally until 1938, making it the nation's first completely paved highway. That's it! We made it after nearly 2,450 miles on the most legendary road of the continent. After the skyscrapers of Chicago, Illinois, the prairies of the Ozarks, Missouri, the Indian Territory of Oklahoma, Texas cowboys, old stones of New Mexico, and the arid landscapes of Arizona, we are about to cross the mythical California border as the first pioneers of the gold rush in the late 19th century in their quest for the West. Wide open spaces and mines filled with valuable treasures await us, as the Okies of the Great Depression that followed them, and whose exile is narrated by John Steinbeck in The Grapes of Wrath, and as everyone else who saw California as the promised land. U.S. Route 66 once comprised 314 miles in the state of California. In 1940, the first freeway in Los Angeles, the Arroyo Seco Parkway, also known as the Pasadena Freeway, was incorporated into U.S. Route 66. It was removed from the National Highway System on June 27, 1985. Cruisers can no longer drive, quote, Route 66 uninterrupted all the way from Chicago to Los Angeles. Many sections of the original route and alternate alignments are still drivable. As the tune goes, if you ever plan to motor west, while it winds from Chicago to LA, Barstow, San Bernardino, take that California trip. And here are a few pictures of the original McDonald's in San Bernardino that is located on historic Route 66. This sign is placed out front of the historic site of the original McDonald's. It says, Site of Original McDonald's, Richard and Maurice McDonald, founders of McDonald's, Historic Route 66 Business District. A great tribute to the route is presented on Foothill Boulevard, which retains State Route 66 designation in Rancho Cucamonga, where an 18-foot wide strip of their old original concrete road is preserved. This road was originally part of the old Spanish Trail, used by early California explorers and settlers as a stagecoach and trade route linking Los Angeles to Santa Fe, New Mexico. Travel along the dirt was arduous, consisting of 2 well-worn wheel tracks in the dirt, and rain would regularly turn the trail into a ribbon of mud. With the advent of motor vehicles, a more stable travel surface became a necessity. The first attempt to create an all-weather road surface was in 1941, when the trail from Los Angeles to San Bernardino was paved 18 feet wide with rigid Portland cement concrete. A portion of the rigid concrete can be seen from this viewpoint. Although the concrete pavement was a vast improvement over the original dirt trail, within a few years, heavy use of the road caused the rigid concrete to fracture and break into sections, causing trade and travel to suffer as road conditions deteriorated. By the 1920s, the second attempt to create an all-weather road surface resulted in the rigid concrete being resurfaced with bituminous macadam-type pavement, which can also be seen in portions on the concrete and along the sides. Macadam is actually a predecessor to asphalt used in today's roads. This method created a smooth road surface but resulted in blinding dust clouds whenever a motor vehicle drove by. Later, a binding tar or oil-like material was sprayed onto the macadam them to limit the dust clouds. In 1929, Foothill Boulevard was realigned to its present location and paved with early versions of today's road asphalt. This segment of the original road, which served as U.S. Highway 66, was abandoned and sat forgotten for years. With the construction of the Route 66 trailhead, visitors can now visualize how Foothill Boulevard might have looked during the early 1900s and imagine what this area looked like to people traveling to California on the old Route 66. Cool signage across the boulevard recognizes the historic way that followed the old Spanish trace. The 11th of the 12 Madonna of the Trail statues is stationed less than 2 miles away on West Foothill Boulevard and North Euclid Avenue in Upland. And again, we will do a special Saturday on these Madonnas. And here's a map showing how Route 66 crosses through West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, West Los Angeles, and ending at Santa Monica State Beach. And here's the end of Route 66. I hope you have enjoyed this little bit of history and travel along Route 66 in these 5 Saturday travel and history tips. American history. Learn it, love it, appreciate it. Thank you.